What's up, spiritualites? Almost didn't want to come on this week and drop a video about my weekly recap, but I promised transparency, and here it is. So, in this video, I will take you through my weekly overview. I'll show you my system, how I'm using it. I obviously provide my stats. I'll take you through my favorite win for the week and my favorite loss. And I'll also talk about some of the improvements that I made midweek and that I plan to make moving forward to help me get a better win rate. I'll also talk a little bit about some of the psychological things and the real life things that happened this week. And then we'll end with what to focus on or what I really need to hone in on for this upcoming week to have let's just say a better trading week. Okay, so first I would like to introduce you guys to my live trading summary. Here I've got all of the trades that I took for this week. I'll just break down a little bit. I've got the date, I've got the pair, the direction, long or short, the result, R multiple, or otherwise how much did I lose or gain on the trade. 8-hour trend, which just means I put 8 hours of data. It's not that I'm using the 8-hour time frame, right? So it's more like a short time frame trend. I've got the higher time frame trend here in column G. And then for these here are just things that I consider before I enter a trade. So am I at a key level? Right? Do I have the right structure? Is the RSI on my side? Is the 0 on my side? Remember, that's my custom indicator that I did create. All the other indicators and different things that I use you will be able to find except for the 0, as I'm still putting some tweaks on it. I do plan to make that public at some point though. I do have volume and divergences, 20 period moving average, and is the 200 period moving average on my side. So all those will total up to give me a total score on a scale of A to F, or A to D/F, and that'll tell me, hey, that's your trade ranking. So we can talk a little bit about Monday. You can see here that I took 7 trades in one day. So that is the definition, or what my definition would be considered to be as over trading. Yes, I don't ever want to take 7 trades in a day. Looking back on it, I thought I had some good ideas. I was really convinced. A little bit about the mental part. When you start the week off with 2 losses, it makes you want to play catch up for sure. And so you'll win one to take those back. So I started with these 2 losses, and I'll explain what these red highlights mean here in a minute. But I take these 2 losses, I get a win, so now I'm back in the positive, and then I followed up with 4 straight losses. After that second one here, my mental is really like, okay, I need to get back positive. I do not want to stay in the negative. And of course, that caused me to go even more negative. Moving on to Tuesday, you can see I only took 2 trades on Tuesday, and the first one was a win. I got $3.05 for rounding. And then I took another loss, which I do believe that is the one we're going to talk about later. Here on Wednesday was a weird day. I got to the charts a little bit late, probably about 8:45, and then at work they needed me to come in early. So that first trade I took was a loss. But as I was still in the zone, ready to go, I really wanted to take another trade, but I had to go into work early. So this is where I broke one of my rules, or one of the things I usually try not to do is I did take a trade while at work, and we'll talk about that as well. And then on Thursday, I took 2 more trades. As you can see, 2 more losses. That's just how it is sometimes. And so on Thursday, after I took those 2 losses, as I'm going into work, kind of checking up on my phone, I take those 2 losses. And so right then and there, I make the decision, hey, I've overtraded on Monday. Right? Tuesday wasn't a bad day. But then Wednesday was a little bit weird in terms of getting called in early and trying to, make a trade at work, which wasn't a good idea. So after the 2 losses Thursday, I decided, hey, that's going to be it. I'm going to call it a week. I did kind of ghost trade on Friday, which means I just put trades on the charts. But I did not actually take them on my account. And good thing, because those ended up losing too. Okay, and so if we'll take a look at the summary tab to see some of my stats. Currently, I am at a 14.29% win rate. Not great. Average score on my trades is a 69. So what I've found is that I want a threshold of 75 or greater. And 75 is that line where you got to make a decision. is it a good idea or is it not a good idea? Is there something else that I'm missing? Do I feel confident in that 75 or do I feel a little bit shaky on that 75? Right. So right now, it looks like I shouldn't even be trading the average trade. My average score is a 69, almost a 70, so I shouldn't be trading. Basically, is what that comes down to. My average trade I should not take, and my average R multiple is a negative 0.32. So on average, if I'm putting in a trade, I'm going to lose about 32 cents as of right now. Again, it's only been 13 trades. Also, on Monday, I should not have taken that many trades, so it should be less. But let's jump into one of my favorite wins for the week. So my favorite win from this week comes from Tuesday, my first trade number 8, right here, where I actually got 3.05 as my risk to reward multiple. Because I'm trading $1 per trade, that I got $3.05 on this trade. As you can see, it is my only 100 A plus trade on here. Everything was in my favor. The 8-hour trend was in the direction that I wanted to trade, which was long. The higher time frame trend was long. I was at a key level. I had structure on my side. The RSI, the 0, and the volume was on my side. There were divergences that were starting to appear. The 20 period moving average was on my side, and the 200 moving average was on my side. So let's take a look at that trade, zoom in a little bit, and see what happened here. See all the things that went right. So it was this trade right here, and as you can see, I only was in this trade for about 34 minutes. Right, 34 minutes, and I got 3% off that trade. Now, as you can see, the risk to reward multiple here is 2.53. So the reason that I got the 3.05 was because I have all these things over here are from previous trades. Every time I put one of these down, it makes a marker over here. So I actually got confused, and so rather than making my stop loss down here at 90,000, about 500, I believe there was something over here that made me use 90,600 or something of the sort. So if I move this up, you can see it was, somewhere around here where I was able to actually get 3%. Now that was dangerous, complete mistake, but it ended up working out. Had it have gone down there, I probably would have been confused if it did not go below this level, which is where I wanted my original stop loss to be, but didn't have to worry about it. So looking at the 8-hour trend, what I mean by 8 hours is right here, right where I'm seeing information, and then I go back 8 hours. So this is noon, so I want to go back to about 4 a.m., which would be right about here, and just put all that on the chart. And so as you can see, somewhere around 4 a.m., we started down here, and it's as simple as where are we when I'm about to enter the trade. Right, so I went from down here all the way up to here. So that's going up, right? Simple as that. That's how I found my 8-hour trend. It goes up. A higher time frame trend, so I'll squeeze as much data on my chart as I can. As you can see, nothing else will fit on this chart. So I squeeze it to make sure I can see everything. And it looks like it was in a range for a little while, broke down, but then guess what? We started to go back up. So although the whole time of data is not going up, right, where we started to range, it didn't continue the range because we broke down, but it didn't continue to break down further. We started going up. So that's how I see that the higher time frame is also on my side. So a key level where we were sitting at, I saw that this yellow rectangle here held support for quite a while the week prior, right? So it bounced off this yellow block, bounced off this yellow block, bounced off this yellow block, until finally breaking through quite aggressively. So I labeled this as a key level, and as I went over to my Tuesday trade, you can see that I got one bounce and then another bounce off of that. Right, so that is a key level for me. It's been hit 5 times now. And when I'm looking at structure, I'm coming from just a little bit. I can start with the 8-hour trend, but sometimes I don't have to go that far. So I'll start here at some kind of low, and I'm just marking out the higher highs and higher lows in my uptrend. And so now after this bounce here, I do know I should be going up to keep following my trend. Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, all the way up. Since I'm trading long here, I'm expecting to see another higher high, which is continuing on with this trend. All right, so structure is on my side. Next would be the RSI. So I know you think of the RSI, you think, okay, these green highlights mean that it is overbought, right? There's too much buying going on, it's going to have to cool off. But what I've noticed is it doesn't necessarily mean a reversal. What I want to see in an uptrend is highlights on the RSI, cool off period. Highlights on the RSI, cool off period. Highlights on the RSI, cool off period. So as I'm going up here, right, I am actually getting more and more strength. So yes, it says that it was overbought here, but as you can see, price kept going up. So as far as that goes, the RSI is on my side, as well as my zero indicator down here, right? Hey, you should sell. Hey, you should sell. These red highlights are saying sell, sell, sell. But I know in an uptrend, you're going to get some cool off periods where the market has to correct before it goes back up. So I have both of those on my side, and the biggest volume spike, there is a volume spike right around here, as you can see, right before I get into the trade off the next bounce. But the big one came right here. And because it was breaking through my key level, right, my former support turned resistance, now turned back to support, that was the kind of key to say, hey, we're breaking out of this thing. Right? Had I just gotten a little wick above this level with that kind of volume, then I might be thinking of reversal, or I might not be confident. But a strong breakthrough here and a continuation let me know that my next trade should be okay. For the last two, as you can see, we are well above the 200 moving average, right, well above that. And I did wait for the break of the 20 period moving average before I take the trade. So theoretically, I could have done it right here, but in the moment, I do remember while this was a good break on good volume, I still wanted to be a little bit cautious. I could have taken the break over the 20 moving average here. Everything would have worked out fine, as you can see. But I wanted to wait for one more confirmation. We got a break above here, close above there for a little bit, range for a little bit. Let me know that our direction was most likely up. Okay, so the two main reasons why this was my favorite win of the week, well, number one, I didn't have many to choose from, right? Number two, though, it only took about 34 minutes, and I like those quick trades. I don't want to be in a trade all day. I'm not opposed to being in a trade all day, but I'd rather make quick money. I think all of us would rather get some speed on the money that we want to come to us, right? We don't want to be waiting all day. That just leaves more time for making mental errors. So for my favorite loss, that comes later on that Tuesday. Like I said, Tuesday was just a good trading day for me. It felt good. I made a lot of good moves. I'll talk a little bit further about why I like Tuesday as well, but let's get into this loss. So here's my win here that I just explained. And rather than be greedy, which I really did want to, I saw that this actually stopped out at another key level here. Right, and so this seemed to be the top of the range that was down here. Boom, 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 the block that we talked about before. Here seems to be the top of that. Other than this giant fake out spike, right? Touch here, almost, touch here, almost again. So we've got a lot of action happening around this level here. So when I did hit my take profit here, I didn't truly believe that we could make it through this level because it was just a wick, right? And so I'm looking for strong breaks, something that breaks above it and maybe keeps going for a little bit before it does have to have some corrective action, right? And so here they tried it again, that level, and again a long wick only to close a little bit above that zone. And I'm not very particular when it comes to these levels. I just mark out what my eye sees. I don't care about this specific point unless I'm looking for some like liquidity pool, okay? So I don't care that it went through a little bit. I don't care that it closed, but it doesn't matter to me. I want to see some strong breakthrough. And so I just never got that here. Once you broke here with this wick, you got some strong breakthrough on this level, but again, now the new level is here. Right now, that's what you want to see be taken in order to be convinced of this trend to continue upward. And I got a half barely break above there and immediately shot back into what now would be considered a zone, right, a range here. So when you break right back into that range, not convincing. I did get above that 20 moving average, far above the 200 moving average. So that was something that caused me to have a little bit of conviction. But when I got that weak break, I knew that it probably wasn't going to be good. But as we were in an uptrend, I did notice, hey, we broke structure. So if we continued our structure up here, and again, this was a barely break. So let me know that, hey, this trend is weak, right? This trend is weak. So we broke this level here. We got the change of character. So we go down through this level here. Not a strong break, so maybe I wouldn't have been so convinced, but I might have been more convinced just because it broke through that 20 moving average and it was kept flirting with it all here at the top. As near the beginning of this trend, we barely even have any runs in with it. All right, so when we started breaking across it, lets me know, hey, this trend is getting weak. All right, so we come back down here, and I'm thinking, all right, I've got my change of character right now. This is the reversal point, right? It came up to this support, turned resistance level here, and broke down. Great. Came up, tested again, even better, and crossed over the 20 and didn't even touch it for a while. So it's okay, well, let me just be patient. I don't want to jump in, too early right here. I didn't catch it. I think it was about right here, and this is about 6:30 at night, right? So I'm definitely more into the family time than I am with the trading. So come down here, got a level of resistance here, found a little bit of support here, played around in this level, bounced off here. So I'm looking at this level saying is okay, like if I break through this level, it's kind of been one of those levels like where if I break through, I might continue to go down, right? It held as resistance here, forced a downward movement. Here it acted as support, forced an upward movement. Here acted as resistance here, forced a downward movement. So I'm thinking that I broke through here. This is now a larger downtrend, right? That's just getting started going all the way down here. Came up here and I see this. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to bounce, right, somewhere into this area, into this support level. Right, again, this was major support before. I'm thinking, okay, in this downtrend, I'm probably at least going to come down to this major support level here. So I waited and I was patient. I did end up entering at the end of this close right here. And so I felt pretty confident in that short. And as you can see, it went straight against me. Right? And that's just the nature of this game sometimes. It is going to go against you. So what I learned most is that being patient wasn't wrong, and that sometimes you're going to have a nice setup and it's just not going to work. And it's not that I'm learning this for the first time, but I'm seeing it happen in real life. And so this was the loss that deterred me the least, which is why it was my favorite loss of the week. So let's see what I got on my live trading summary. So that was the second trade on Tuesday, which is right here. And it actually ended up getting an 85 on that. And so my notes, while this was a good setup, I was a little late to the party. I could have been even more patient, but an 85 is an 85. And the idea itself was not one I would be scared to take in the future. It's just not. I got an 85. I had a lot of things on my side. We take a look at this again. Right, the 8-hour time frame was on my side. The higher time frame trend was not. So that's one of the things that I'm willing to sacrifice when looking at this trade here. Right, the level, like we just talked about, was that support, that resistance level at the top of that range. The structure was on my side because we were in a downtrend. We were in a falling market. We were going up, 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 up. Then we broke low and made a lower low than we did last time. The past two lows weren't this low. So we had made a downtrend and what I thought was going to be a continuation of a downtrend, but not so much. So the RSI, the zero, and the volume, we could take a look right before entering this trade. What do you want to see going down? You want to see price hitting some oversold zones, right, to cool off. This light one told me, hey, this might be where that bounce is going to start continuing from. And so as I'm entering here, I do see this RSI starting to give some light highlights, but they're not dark, so I'm not too worried about it. As I'm looking at the zero, again, it gives me that I'm selling here. I should sell in this point here, which is where I would want that bounce to come from. Over here, I only got a light highlight. I did say, hey, okay, that's green. That's telling me to buy. That's what I'm looking for. And you'll notice some divergences here as well. And so for the divergences, I'm getting this green highlight way back here, but the market continues to go down. So my indicator was telling me, hey, you should buy at this point here. But look what happens. It goes against it. Right? And so as this is telling me to buy and I'm not getting anything else, right, as I'm hitting these lows, I'm coming down to this point in the market here. Right, I'm noticing, hey, I'm getting the buy signal. Hey, I'm getting the highlight on the RSI. As I continue to go down, this RSI is actually going up, or at least holding firm to this level. Right, so it's not a strong divergence, but as price goes down, you would want to see RSI go down, you would want to see your zero go down, you want to see volume increase. So as I'm going down, I'm getting these volume spikes here, here, and here, but my strength is actually going up, right, or holding steady in this case. So that's where I have my divergence, not strong divergences. If I had a 0.5, I probably would have given a 0.5, but I was confident in seeing some of that divergence there because I knew I don't want it to completely reverse on me. I just want it to bounce from this level so I can have a good shot at getting in at a short at a higher price. 20 moving average was on my side, but the 200 moving average was not. So if I take a look, right, obviously I always wait for a break in the 20 moving average. That's just my signal. That's my go time. So I'll always have that on my side, but notice on this trade, well, so the reason why I said the 200 moving average was not on my side is because when I got this signal here, I was still above it. All right, so as I'm typing these things in before I get into the trade, I'm saying, okay, the 200 is not on my side. But by the time I entered, it actually was on my side, so I forgot to go back and adjust that. So I guess that would technically make this trade a 90. Lots of good things about this idea. Maybe was a little bit late to the party trying to short from all the way down here. Had I had more confidence in it up here or maybe been in front of the chart at that exact moment, I would have taken it from here. But regardless, I didn't try to get in FOMO. I waited until I got another break of what I wanted to see. It just didn't end up in my direction this time. But so the major improvement that I made this week was after Monday, I decided, hey, I'm going to put these trades into the chart first. So that's why I have all these red losses I put into my tracker after the fact. And so had I done this before, right, if I put this in and I get a 55, I'm not taking the trade. I get a 45, I'm not taking the trade. This 70, maybe, but most likely not taking the trade. So out of all of Monday's trades, I really should have only taken 3 of them. And that would have put me at 2 losses and 1 win, which is what I started the day with. Right, so that puts me in the positive. Next, I go to Tuesday, and for the rest of the week, I do this, except for, of course, the trade that I do at work. All right, and you notice that is a 65. I would not have taken this trade for the real life. Like I said, I got called in early on Wednesday. That kind of threw me off just a little bit. Not too bad. And I also had gotten to the charts late on Wednesday. I slept in a little bit. Right, so trying to wake up, trying to get to bed at a decent time, try to get to bed at 1 a.m. I can make it up at 8 a.m. to be in front of the charts at 8:30. Just did not work out that day. On Thursday, taking those 2 trades before going to work and seeing them lose their strength, I kept it in for too long, right? Once you get that second bounce, I need to move it to break even because it shouldn't be coming back down to this level here. So that really kind of messed with my mental. And like I said, I shut it down after that. Like after Thursday, I decided, hey, this is not really feeling good to me. Let me kind of reset, refocus, and go into next week with some key things that I'm looking for and see if that kind of helped my win rate. So what I'll be looking for next week is to be a little bit more patient. Obviously, I'm not going to take 7 trades in a day again. I will stick to my 2 or 3. As you can see, I took a lot of trades on Bitcoin, so I might try to incorporate Solana a little bit more in there as well. A couple of times where I took a Bitcoin trade that lost, the Solana trade would have won just because of the volatility on Solana. So, all right, that's going to do it for this one, Spiritualites. Just keep in mind, this is not financial advice. This is for educational purposes only. Please consult a financial advisor should you decide to start trading or investing your money. Thank you for viewing. Feel free to comment, leave a like, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. And just remember, this is the journey, not the highlight reel. Trade smart, live free.